Gajendra begins his prayers, and Prabhupada is explaining the significance of Chit Atmakam, the verse, the spiritual, inherent spiritual nature of everything. And he's explaining, Prabhupada explains that by the grace of Krishna's omnipotence, the so-called stone statue of the deity is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the body of the spiritual master is directly spiritual because of complete absorption. Now here we're worshipping on the temple. We're worshipping Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, Hanumanji. The jiva, but it is completely spiritual because of complete absorption in the spiritual nature. Brahmaiva tena gantavyam. In 4th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, text 24, Krishna explains, Brahmaiva tena gantavyam. They achieve this, the same spiritual platform. Brahmaiva, certainly, tena gantavyam. They become completely spiritual. Brahma karma shamadina. Shamadina, because of complete absorption. So, such jiv tattva persons, because of complete absorption in the spiritual energy, are completely spiritualized. And therefore we worship on the altar. We worship Srila Prabhupada the Murti. We respect the gurus and the advanced Vaishnavas in ISKCON according to the appropriate standards, considering them non-material. And if one considers Gurushu Nara Mati, then Yasha Vai Naraka Saha. This is a hellish mentality. And Prabhupada also emphasizes the principle of the Archa Vigraha. Prabhupada explains that by the grace of his omnipotence. In the Gita, in the 12th chapter, Prabhupada gives an analogy that like the post box, of course, young devotees may not even know what is a post box. But in that previous yuga, before email and SMS, we used to write letters. Or maybe you don't even know how to write now, and they don't teach you how to write in school. I know they don't teach mathematics, they teach you how to press in the keyboard, but no one has to long division and multiplication. We don't know. So the post box, maybe you still see some here and there on the street, put the letters. So Prabhupada explains it is not an ordinary box, although it's a box. But it has the potency of the India Post. You just put your letter in the box and it will go to Allahabad, it will go to Calcutta, it will go to Chennai. So even though it's a box. So the box is empowered with the potency of the India Post. This is a crude example. Actually, Prabhupada also mentions that at the time of the independent struggle in India, the followers of the Swarat movement, they would break the post boxes. Break the post boxes. And in this way protest against the power of the government. So what was the use of just breaking any box? No, it's not. It's more significant. So this is a crude example. But because the Lord is the controller of all energies, Parasya Shakti Vividhaya Shruyate. So therefore he can, if he desires, he can infuse his Antaranga Shakti, his personal energy, his Swangsa, his self energy, he can infuse that in the external energy, and the external energy can act as he himself is acting. And he will agree to do this upon the request of the intimate devotee. Prabhupada explains the acharyas. Actually, we'll discuss a little later that Prabhupada emphasized deity worship and establishing deities, also all the acharyas. In Srimad Mahaprabhu's activities and his teachings and his pastimes, it's interesting that the deity worship is not stressed so much. But that doesn't mean that it is not important. The deity worship is not stressed so much as we sang, Radha Krishna Bolo. এই শিক্ষা নিয়ে স্বপ্ন দিয়ে ফিচে নেচে গর্ণিতায় Radha Krishna bol. You just chant Hare Krishna. Radha Krishna, what is that one? That Radha Krishna bolo songe cholo ei matro bikachai. Radha Krishna bolo songe cholo. You carry on with what you're doing and chant Hare Krishna ei matro, only this. Ei matro bikachai, I'm requesting of you. So he's not emphasizing worship the deity so apparently. However, that doesn't mean that the worship of the deity is not a prevalent feature of Mahaprabhu's pastimes. In fact, because it is so prevalent in the culture and in the lifestyle of the Vaishnavas, therefore Mahaprabhu did not require to stress it so much. And so much evidence is there. When you see the Yogapit temple in Sri Mayapur Dham, where Mahaprabhu appeared, you'll see the Adhokshaja Vishnu deity, which was discovered during the excavation of the Yogapit temple and is considered to be the deity worshipped by Jagannath Mishra. Mahaprabhu, his father and his family were worshipping the deity. In fact, it describes that Mahaprabhu would sit down to worship the deity and he would become so overwhelmed with love of God, tears would flow from his eyes, his cloth would become drenched. And he would have to, because tears are actually not pure, so he would have to get up and go and change his cloth. And then again he would come and sit down before the family deity to worship. And again he would cry incessantly and his cloth would become completely drenched. Again he would have to go and change, put on fresh cloth. In this way, he was not maintaining the deity worship according to the regular standard. So he requested Gadadhar Pandit to worship the family deity. And the devotees, Advaita Acharya, he was worshipping the deity. His worship of Shalagram Shila with the Ganga Jal and the Tulsi Pata simply was able to induce the Supreme Lord to appear. I'm satisfied by your simple worship of a Tulsi leaf, by offering a Tulsi leaf. He becomes so obligated that he has to give himself. And being satisfied with the worship of Acharya Thakur, Mahaprabhu said, yeah, you've satisfied me with your offerings of Ganga Jal and Tulsi Pata. Sisi Radha Rasa Bihari Lalita Vishaka ki, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Nitai Gaur Chandra ki. I've become so satisfied by your offerings of Ganga Jal and Tulasi Pata. What can I do for you? Oh, not so much. Just personally appear and deliver all the patit, mlecha, jabons and give them prema, love of God. That's all I'm requesting. So upon the request of the Adda Thakur, Mahaprabhu appeared. Later also, when Mahaprabhu was revealing himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we know he was Navadip Chandra. He was performing the Vidya Lila, debating, arguing, establishing the arguments and enjoying the Vidya Lila. And he wasn't even doing the Bhakti. And then he became initiated by Ishwar Puri Prabhupada, and then he changed and began the Sankirtan movement, but still he hadn't revealed himself as Swayam Bhagavan. And gradually he begins to reveal himself. First to Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya had a dream in which Gopal appeared to him and then transformed into Vishwambara and said, your desires will be fulfilled and the holy name will be spread in every town and village. So Acharya Thakur, he already was suspecting that our Navadip Chandra, Nimai Pandit, he is Sri Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gadadhar Pandit, they visited Advaita Acharya in his house in Mayapur. You can go and see Advaita Bhavan. Now, it's described that as they approached, they saw Advaita Acharya. What was he doing? He was worshipping the deity of Lord Hari. With raised hands, he was sometimes laughing, sometimes crying, and roaring like a lion, like the incarnation of Rudradev in his ecstasies in worshipping his deity. And Mahaprabhu, seeing Advaita Acharya worshipping the deity, he became overwhelmed with prema. He fell unconscious. And the Advaita Thakur immediately, he seized the opportunity. You have been cheating us for so long. remaining lupta, remaining covered and not displaying your true opulence and your true glories. Now I am going to cheat you. And taking all of the paraphernalia that he had assembled for his worship of the Lord Hari deity, he began to worship Nimai, Sachinandan, with the pushpa, the dhup, the gandha, the agurubati, the deep, in ecstasy, chanting the mantra, Namo Brahmana Devaya, Go Brahman Hitaya Cha, Jagadhitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. Worshipping the unconscious form of Sachinandan as he lay on the ground. And Gadadhar Pandit, he was a little bemused by this, and he said, Acharya Thakur, isn't this a little unbefitting that you are showing such exorbitant respect to such a young lad who's so junior to you in years? And Advaita Acharya replied, you fool, you're still thinking he's a young lad? And then Gadadhar began to realize, is he the incarnation of Godhead who's predicted to appear in the Kali Yuga? Srivas Thakur also were worshipping the deity. In fact, when the devotees were beginning to, the rumor was being circulated that Nimai has become a devotee. He's come back from Gayadam and he's changed. All of his arrogance and all of his pride is all gone. The devotees were assembled at the house of Srinivas, and they were where there was a kunda tree which all year round produced flowers, kunda, for the puja. So every morning all of the Vaishnavas were assembling to collect flowers for the puja. In this way the news was spread. If you want to get a message out to the Vaishnavas, then in the morning, go to Srinivas's house, and where the kunda tree is, and you'll see all the Vaishnavas assembled there collecting the kunda flowers, because all of them are worshipping the deity. And in Srinivas's house, we know that actually when Mahaprabhu also revealed himself to Srivas Thakur, at the time he was worshipping Lord Nrsimhadev. The residents of Navadip, they began to curse and criticize and condemn the Vaishnavas. We cannot even get a good night's sleep anymore. All of this screaming and howling that they do, and they had this mantra and the tantra, and they bewilder the minds of the Komaris, and who knows what they're doing with them at night. And we cannot get a good night's rest anymore. And Lord Vishnu, he's trying to sleep during the Shayan period. All of these symbols and chanting and mridangas is going to disturb him, and we're going to experience calamities. And somebody said, I've heard that the government has sent 2 boats full of soldiers, and they're going to arrest anybody in Nadia who is seen to be doing public sankirtan. And the devotees were a little bit in anxiety over this, and out of concern for the Vaishnavas, Srivas Thakur was in his deity room worshipping Lord Nrsimhadev. Mahaprabhu at that time, he was wandering on the banks of the Ganga, and he saw some cows and calves. They were drinking water by the bank of the Ganga. Some were with their head as cows do, butting into each other, and others with the tails raised were jumping around, and others were chewing the cud as cows do. And seeing this, Mahaprabhu, he became overwhelmed in the feelings of Vrindavan, and he began to call out, Muishe, Muishe, I am he, I am he. And he immediately began running. You could imagine Mahaprabhu, 7 foot tall, huge steps, as he's running from the bank of the Ganga to the house of Srivas Thakur. And he reached the house of Srivas Thakur. He saw that the deity room door was closed. He began kicking on the door with his foot, kicking on the door. And he called out, Kaha puja koro, kaha dhyan, jaha puja, tahe deke vidyaman. He called out, Kaha puja kocho, who is it that you're worshipping in there? Kaha dhyan, who are you meditating upon? Jaha puja koro, taha dekao bijaman. The person who you are worshipping, come out and see. He is standing here before you. So this comment of Mahaprabhu is also very significant. Kaha puja koro, kaha dhyan, jaha puja tahe deko vidyaman. So already the devotees were doing puja. Already they were doing puja. And simply Mahaprabhu, he revealed to them that person who in every house you're worshipping, the deity, the Lord Hari, and now I have appeared to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement. And again, Mahaprabhu, he in the house of Srivas Thakur, in front of the deity, every night they were doing the kirtan, in front of the deity. And on several occasions, there is the most the celebrated occasion, the Mahaprakash Leela, when Mahaprabhu, for 21 hours, he sat on the altar. And he put the Shalagram Shilas on his lap, and all the devotees performed Abhishek, and all of the 21 hours, he revealed himself in the full Aishwarya Prakash. But on several occasions, during the kirtan, in Srivas Thakur's house, Mahaprabhu would sit, he would get up, when he would be overwhelmed in the bhav of the Parameshvara, he would get and he would stand and he would get up and he would sit on the altar. And the wooden singhasan would creak with his weight as he would sit there. After Mahaprabhu took sannyas also and remained in Puri, then the worship of the deity, such a central component of his worship and his sadhana and his devotional service. Vrindavan Das Thakur explains that every day Mahaprabhu would be there in the morning before the conches would blow, and he would see the curtains open and bow down to the deity of Lord Jagannath and take darshan of the Mangal Arati. Vrindavan Das Thakur explains. In fact, one time Nityananda Prabhu, he climbed on the golden singhasan of Jagannath and he embraced Lord Balaram. And the security guard, he tried to grab hold of Lord Nityananda. You could imagine the big strong security guard in Jagannath Puri temple. And I hope all of our trig employees are listening. Just imagine if someone climbed on the altar and tried to embrace Lord Nityananda. They wouldn't have a chance. There would be 5-6 trig security people immediately surrounding him, escorting him. So this security guard, he reached out, he grabbed hold of Lord Nityananda, and then boom, he was thrown 10, 15 feet across the temple room floor, and boom, collapsed on it. And then Lord Nityananda, he took the garland of Baladev, he took it and he put it on himself, and he walked out like the king of elephants. And that security guard, he was meditating, who is this avadut? He certainly must not be an ordinary person. I have the strength to be able to contain a mad elephant. And just by touching him, he had such strength. I was thrown such a distance. So the worship of Lord Baladev was so dear to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Even it describes every day that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after taking darshan of Lord Jagannath every day, he would take the Mahaprasad and the garlands and visit Thakur Haridas. So we can see, therefore, because we can see that it's called like axiomatic. It's so established. The deity worship was such an integral part of the Vaishnava society in the time of Mahaprabhu that Mahaprabhu subsequently, or therefore, he did not require to emphasize deity worship. Because already it was so much popular and so much established in the culture of the Vaishnavas. So therefore he stressed in his teachings and in his message, he stresses Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, only the holy name. Kalo Nashteva, 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 Gotir Annata. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. But in terms of the actual behavior and the example set by the Vaishnavas who are associating with Mahaprabhu, the importance of deity worship is so clear and so obvious. Now we see with the Acharyas, as we mentioned earlier, that upon the request of the very intimate devotee, actually Krishna explains in the 3rd chapter of Gita that Name Bhatastik Artavyam Trishu Lokeshu Kinchana. I am not under any obligation within all the 3 worlds. However, he voluntarily obliges himself to the requests of his intimate devotees. That is his only interest, to fulfill the request of his intimate devotees. Like, for example, in the Antya Kanda of Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srimad Mahaprabhu says, I am not interested in accepting the offering of anyone who is not a Eklak Pati. And all the devotees, all the Brahmins are saying, what? We are so Gorib, Taridra Brahman, Gorib. How can we ever have an Eklak? And Mahaprabhu said, let me explain what is the Eklakpati. One who chants 100,000 names. That's approximately 64 rounds. So Mahaprabhu says he's not interested in accepting the offering of anyone who doesn't chant at least 64 rounds. Shall we ask for a raise of hands, all of those chanting 64 rounds? Maybe we won't ask. So Prabhupada, he's praying at the lotus feet of Sriman Mahaprabhu. These Mlecha Jabon class, the foreigners, and also Bharat, for them not possible 64 rounds. So you kindly accept their offering if they're chanting 16 rounds. You accept their worship. You give them shelter if they chant minimum 16 rounds. This is my request to you. And Mahaprabhu hears, oh, Prabhupada, Abai, you're requesting that of me? Chikache. If it's your request, then let it be so. This is what it means to Guru Ashray and Prabhupada Ashray. Yasha Prashadat Bhagavat Prashado. Yasha Aprashadat Nagati Kutopi. What is that prasad that he's praying on our behalf? You please accept these my followers who agreed to take shelter of me. You please accept them. This is the prasad that he is negotiating on our behalf. Maybe negotiating, not the best word. He is appealing on our behalf. So Prabhupada, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, also the culture of deity worship had degraded so much that he was very much emphasizing the establishment of temples, the Gaudiya Math. He established 64 temples. And you'll find Gaudiya Math temples everywhere. In South India, Chennai, big temple, then was Madras. In Burma, in Puri, so many places, Alalanath, some big temples. Dhaka, Bangladesh, different places in Bangladesh, Gaudiya Math temples are there. Oh, they're not so lively as they were in the time of Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Sometimes you go and the front gate's locked. But, of course, ultimately ISKCON will surcharge all of these different projects. Ultimately. So Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he emphasized deity worship. But what to speak of Prabhupada? How much he was interested in, how much Prabhupada was meditating on establishing temples. There's a letter in 66. He'd just been in New York a few months and he was seeing that he was starting the Bhagavad Gita class, and he wrote to his godbrothers, there is great opportunity for establishing Radha Krishna temple in New York. Already Prabhupada, he's contemplating. Yes, we have he carried the books, he carried Bhagavatam, he distributed the holy name from Tompkins Park, and immediately he was meditating, we need Radha Krishna temples in the West. And Prabhupada established. Prabhupada, just consider the effort that in the West. Yeah, in the West. There's one nice story there. Prabhupada, he was going to Australia, Sydney, and this is probably in 1971 or 72. It was his first visit. And 12 months before, 2 disciples, I think Bali Mardan and Upendra, were the first devotees to go to Australia. And in Sydney, they began preaching. And they had made some devotees, and some devotees had been initiated, I think by mail, or maybe Prabhupada came once or by mail. So these devotees who had just been initiated 1 year, they didn't even have dhoti. They were wearing the bed sheet, dyed saffron. And the Matajis also had no sari. They were also wearing the bed sheet. They compared to the devotees now, they knew no books. Also, only there was no Bhagavad Gita. They had Bhagavatam first canto and the Back to Godhead magazines. So very untrained, nobin devotees there, and simply distributing Back to Godhead magazines and chanting Hare Krishna on the street. That was their, no temple, no Mangaladi, nothing. They go on Harinam in the day and distribute the Back to Godhead magazines. And then Prabhupada's coming. And Prabhupada is coming from Singapore, and on the plane, as his hand luggage, he's carrying Srimati Radharani. And his servant, which was Pushta Krishna Maharaj, he was carrying Gopinath. These deities are this big. Radha Krishna deities. And he comes to Sydney, and Prabhupada, he does the yagya, and he installs Radha Gopinath. Radha Krishna deities. He installs. And he initiates all the devotees who were there as Brahmins. And then he leaves and he prays to Krishna, I have left you in the hand of the Mlecha Javans. You please accept their worship. So we can consider, well, why did Prabhupada do that? Why he didn't just say, okay, read my books, read Bhagavad Gita, have class, chant Hare Krishna. After all, Kalo nyastev gotiyad anyata. There is no other way in the Kali Yuga apart from the Harinam. So just chant Hare Krishna. So why he brought the Radha Krishna deity, in fact established Radha Krishna in all the cities of the world? Because understanding the potency of the deity worship. Could you imagine, we were discussing in our Bhakti Shastri class a couple of days ago on this topic of the deity worship. Here, our Juhu project, the land. Could you let us say that, okay, Prabhupada, we've got the land, and let us just, we have the coconut trees, and the Juga Dharma is the Harinam, so let us just sit on the land, under the coconut trees, drink coconut water, and chant Hare Krishna. Because after all, Kali Yuga Nam Rupe Krishna Avatar. We don't need the deity because the avatar for the Kali Yuga is the Nam. Kali Yuga, Juga Dharma, Named Aprochar Toti Lage Pita Borna Chaitanya Avatar, to preach the name. So let us just sit and drink coconut water and chant Hare Krishna. Could you imagine what if Prabhupada decided let's do that 40 years ago, 45 years ago? Could you imagine what our consciousness would be like now? Compared to what it is when we're worshipping Shri Shri Radha Rasa Bihari, could you imagine? We would just degrade. We would just degrade. Even though we're chanting. Because the potency of deity, I personally being a visitor when I come to Shri Shri Radha Rasa Bihari Mandir, I feel the potency of the deity so tremendously. It is undeniable. The upostiti, the presence of the Supreme Lord in this temple. And that's why people... There's so many, like a magnet, they're drawn here, or they're not drawn to see the marble stone. You can see marble anywhere in Mumbai. So why do they come and stand for hours a day looking at the marble stone? Because they feel the potency of the Lord. They feel the shelter of the Lord. They feel the mercy of the Lord. So Prabhupada understanding the importance of the deity worship for us, because we are in the bodily concept of life. We are in the bodily concept of life. Even though we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're gradually, Cheto Darbana Marjana, gradually being cleaned, but still we're in the bodily concept of life. So we need the physical form of the Lord, that Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drisho, that we can see. It is in the morning time, Mangaladi, you stand, you see the form of the Lord. It is mesmerizing. The eyes are glued on the form of the Lord because the senses and the mind become purified by the transcendental form of the Lord, which is physical elements imbued with the full spiritual potency. The eyes and the mind become completely purified. and the ears when we hear the kirtan, when we see the arati, when we smell the fragrance of the agarobati and the pushpa offered to the Lord. The heart is purified. The consciousness is awakened when you, after Mangaladi, the devotees come. And now this champa, this little holut champa flower, that very highly fragrant and cooled. And in the morning time at 5 o'clock you smell the holut champa. It awakens bhava in the heart. It's a powerful, intoxicating aroma, and it awakens the feelings in the heart. Let me surrender my life to Govinda Charan. The potency. What to speak of the Mahaprasad? The glories of Mahaprasad. That's a whole other topic we can do. That is the deity worship. Just imagine what life would be without Krishna Prasadam. Who would be a devotee? Who would be a devotee without Krishna Prasadam? So for Krishna Prasadam, we need Krishna deity. Otherwise, who are we going to offer the bhoga to? And Prabhupada, he would keep in his drawer, in his room, the gulab jamun, the ISKCON bullets. Offer and then keep them there. And when the devotees were in Maya, he would say, take a gulab jamun. Immediately, Shab Maya Nashta. Shaka Sevana, what is it? Prapancha Shakala. Thakur Bhaktivinoda is singing, when I taste the shark, all of the material contamination is completely removed from my consciousness. Shaka Sevana. And Prabhupada with the prasadam and yes, deity worship. Okay. Any questions?